Welcome back, everybody, to Arcanautus Ascent.
Yo,
Y- yeah. Everybody here?
Hmm?
Alright, we
Shylvie, you
got
sound a little far, just so
Siegfried.
you know. Can you not hear me?
Shylvie, say hi to the people.
Yeah, well,
There it is.
The hell?
Alright, so, last we left off, everybody was getting ready to depart. I believe Shylvie was over here. And was going to meet you guys by the shoreline as you headed out. Kay indicated that they would send a message ahead so that Shylvie would know when to join you all. And you all were discussing the route that you wished to take to, if I scroll down here, Jason Vale, in which the Subsea Kingdom is located.
So we're just gonna go
So,
from there?
what's the word? By the way, this is your boat icon. Oh, wow, the ping is so much... Okay, by the way, I got a laptop upgrade, which is why the quality of the map is also higher. In addition to just, I got a better image. Yeah, so now my pings are super fast. How fun.
Nice. But yeah,
Anyways.
so we were essentially said we were gonna take the oh wait, I'm using the wrong thing. The route through the rocks because it's the fastest route
Yes.
to get there.
So you guys were going to
Uh,
travel along, kind of through and past the, Fort Saltmire, which is the military encampment, the naval encampment of Arcanautus. Both where they produce the ships and where they primarily are docked. And then you were going to descend down to Good Tide Outpost, which is a whoops. All right, not sure what I did there. But you were going to descend to Good Tide Outpost, and this trip is going to take a few days.
yeah.
This trip from here to here took like a day and a half, right?
Yes.
So what is that? 20. So I'll do it in like increments of 20. Okay, so, or I guess it would be increments of 15 because that would be a day. Yeah, so that's how we'll do it. We'll do increments of 15 being a day. How's that sound?
Sure. The math is about right.
Uh, yeah, I mean straightaways and also, it's you're fine. You're fine. It's fine. You're fine. I feel like the scale is a little effed up, but I'm no geography expert. Anyways, the party is not all together yet. I heard tale, perhaps from some of you, that you're interested in going the route near the Coin Purse Islands.
Yeah, but only for the way back.
Only for the way
The
back. For
Cause
expediency, you're thinking of having your wonderful captain, the Furbolg gentleman, uh, perhaps Captain Dawnstar. You were going to have him guide your ship through the rocky waters.
yeah, unless something comes up where we can't.
Unless
But
something
yeah,
comes up where you can't.
but
Yeah.
to get there as fast as possible.
To
Yeah,
get there as
and then on
fast
the
as
way
possible.
back, I was thinking about trying to fight some pirates. Might be fun. Could get some loot because I don't think we're gonna get a lot of loot from the subsea kingdom thing.
Of course, of course. There's no treasure at the bottom of the ocean. As a side note, Zen, go ahead and make a history check for me.
I think I'm actually proficient in history. In fact, I am. Oh, I'm not using actual die. I'm using the virtual. So plus 40.
Uh huh. With an 8, yeah. Nah, you maintain that line of thinking unabated.
I mean, rather than finding loot, I meant more like I wasn't planning on staying there long enough to search the subsea kingdom for loot.
Yeah.
Because Zen wants to get in and out as fast as possible when it comes to the subsea kingdom.
Yeah, that makes sense. Or at least for Zen, it makes sense. So, to just reiterate for anybody who doesn't remember, you were all assigned a mission by Kay. Well, first of all, you were given the rights to some property, or were given a significant down payment towards the rights to some property and the foundation of what will be a keep for the Slayers, the Saltmire Slayers. But Kay, being affiliated not with Ultimus, the patron of the Saltmires, but with documents on the other computer, but it's open here. Give me a sec. Sanispa Saltmire, the eldest woman of the family, who was speaking to Kay before you all, had seen her and then been assigned this task. So, you all head out and pick up, your crew consists of 7 Saltmire sailors. Captain Dawnstar. The mercenary Kaiser Knox. The cleric Zelphos, who is currently sleeping between some crates right now. You hear a gentle snoring. And, Huge, the 12-foot tall tower of muscle that was once a human man, who has been leaning over and helping pulling ropes or holding things or what have you. He can do the work of 20 men. The crew sometimes almost doesn't have anything to do because he can just take care of tasks so quickly. Of course, whenever he leans quickly from one side of the ship to another or moves quickly, it does rock the ship, as this gentleman does weigh quite a lot. But it is counterbalanced by sitting across from him is the Jormungandr, the multiplier salamander, who has been eyeing him this whole trip so far. Eventually, you all come up to the rocky cliffs. You set anchor. I should say, Huge drops the anchor off the side of the ship with one hand. And you all wait until Shylvie eventually is lowered down gently via several kind of bits of foliage growing along the side of the cliff face. And a branch extends out towards the ship that they climb across, and they hop down onto the ship. You all see a sort of a smaller Shylvie. You know this is not the original primary form of Regacia, but it is one of her, offshoots. That is waving and shouts out words of encouragement as you all head off in the direction of the northern volcanic island and the rocky outcroppings to the south of it. So Shylvie has been added to the ship, which is now here. Cutting across along the shoreline doesn't take a ton of time. The wind is at your backs. So I'll say that only takes like half a day even. And you all Captain Dawnstar asks, so, should we dock at Crown Island for the night, or shall we just maintain our pace and arrive at the more problematic shores in the morning? I personally would recommend we sail through and just, I could have the crew rotate. The large gentleman there has been helping out quite a bit.
Yeah, let's go the fast route.
All right.
Let's go with that.
Yep, so you're all able to get a decent night's rest as Huge takes a nap, and the crew who wasn't doing anything because Huge, was doing most of their jobs as far as moving things around and maintaining the sails and everything, like switches to the night shift. I'm gonna just roll a d. What is the number that I listed? I only listed 6, but it's kind of a 5. Can I do that? Can I?
Just make it so 6 is a reroll.
If 6
or
is a
1
reroll,
is a
yeah.
reroll.
2. Okay, cool. That's a classic. So as you all are sailing through the night, as the day begins to dawn once again, you're cutting close, a little bit closer to the Eye of Caesar now, just because it's the most direct route. And the captain mentions, you all are roused from your sleep as the captain mentions, "Lower the sails, slow our roll. I see something." And the captain begins to shout, "Give it a wide berth. I don't trust it." Do any of you ascend from your sleeping quarters to check out what's going on?
Yeah.
Cool beans. So Zen ascends. Anybody else?
I barely heard Shylv
Are
say
they
yeah.
talking? Shylvie, are you talking right now?
Yes.
Okay, I could hear that.
Yep. Yes. Shylvie ascends.
Alright, cool. And I assume Siegfried ascends as well, silently.
Sure.
Cool. You all ascend, and you notice, an island, floating off, about 200... not good with distances. About 500 feet ahead of you. The ship is, the sails not dropped because I'm being silly. The sails have been turned, and the navigator is spinning the wheel ever so slightly, and you're beginning to sort of coast around the island. It seems like almost like, if I was to describe it, the generic deserted island. It's got a palm tree on it. It's covered in sand. It's almost completely circular. And everybody go ahead and roll a perception check for me. Ooh, 21 from Zen. That's good. Siegfried doesn't see much of note beyond what I described. And Shylvie? Shylvie. There it is.
11.
Okay, cool. So Shylvie and Siegfried, you pretty much notice what I described. Siegfried, you get distracted by, you see Zalfos sitting between 2 crates snoring, and he snores loudly, and you kind of look over at him. Zen, you're glancing out at 500 feet. It's a pretty damn far distance away. But you do notice that the tree, its leaves, there is a breeze, probably like a 10 to 15 mile an hour breeze right now. You notice that the leaves aren't shaking in a way that you would expect, kind of gently swaying with the breeze, sort of the tree bending and such. They're more like just shaking every so often, like as the wind seems to pass over the island. And you do see a humanoid shape splayed out, but from this distance you can't tell. At the base of the tree, you can't tell much beyond that.
Zen would say, I see. It looks like a wide berth. Stay away from that thing.
Understood.
That's sketchy.
Understood. I thought so too. You see the leaves?
That's
And he
not
hands you
natural.
what do you call a telescope that's just the thing in your hand? It's still a telescope,
Binoculars?
right? No, Oculus is a VR gaming headset.
No, I said binoculars. said
Binocular,
binoculars.
a monocular or whatever.
Spyglass.
Spyglass! That's the word. He hands a spyglass over to Zen, and Zen, you look through the spyglass. And indeed, the trees' leaves are not responding in a way. They almost seem like heavier, like, than they should be, almost. Or like they're like more connected to the tree than you would think. And you kind of look over to the shape, and it's sort of coated in sand and just like a general humanoid shape that you think might be a human, but like with really red sunburned skin. And they're just kind of laying down at the base of the tree, almost motionless, but as you kind of observe for a second, you do see a chest rise and fall. They are face down. You see like their back kind of rise and fall with breath.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
No. Wide berth.
Just
As
noping.
far away as possible. No.
So the captain indicates, all right, that's a nope from the folks who hired us. Let's keep a wide berth. And you are able to avoid. Here, let me just roll something for the. I guess a stealth check for the ship. I guess. Give it a +2. Yeah, that's plenty. So yeah, you're able to sneak around the island. You maintain about a 400-foot distance as you circle around the island, and it's the morning sun is beginning to peek through, and you all figure, unless you're feeling like getting an extra morning nap in, you might as well stay up at this point. The captain indicates that you're not far from the rocky outcroppings between the volcanic island and Fort Saltmire.
Okay, so we're right there now. I'll wait till after.
The captain, sort of looking out with their spyglass over in the direction. You see to the north of you, rising up with plumes of smoke rising into the air steadily. Not like massive plumes, but just a constant sort of steaming, if I was to describe it in a way of what it looked like, of smoke rising from the larger volcanic island to the south, or to the north, I'm sorry. To the south, you are able to make out, with the spyglass, the distant, rigid, probably 100-foot tall, large, like, we're talking almost the size of the inner ring of Arcanautus itself. This thing's like, it could probably house, you think, thousands of troops.
You're talking about the fort?
The fort, yes, Fort Saltmire that you see to the south. You do see, beacons, never mind, the morning sun, showing up. You do see some ships docked, on the shoreline off in the distance on this side, though, they appear to just be doing standard patrols and are not heading in this direction at all. But the captain does mention, alright, any prep work that needs to be done should be done now. I'll pass through a more narrow segment here that I've seen, but, it's still gonna be rough for a little while. Probably about, 10, 20, maybe 30-minute trek through, dangerous waters before we can, get over to, it was called, before we can hit Blue Beacon. And he points across, where you do see sort of various rocks, sort of jutting, these gray, jagged rocks sort of jutting from the sea in various places, before you, a few thousand feet ahead of you. You do see rising in the distance a lighthouse, rising up. Obviously in the daylight it does not, first of all, from this distance it is not tall. Also, it would be more than few thousand feet. But yeah, so lighthouse off in the distance, volcano to your north, big old military fort to the south. So unless you all would like to do anything to assist the crew in preparing for this event, I will ask, how will you all be helping? What role would you all like to take, or where would you like to help with the actual going through the rough terrain? You could focus on repairing any damage that does happen, assisting the navigator, assisting the crew with the like physical labor of like shifting things around the ship and shifting the sails, or if you have any magical assistance you could provide, those are some options as well. How would you all like to assist with navigating these treacherous waters? Shylvie, I can't hear you at all.
Jump into the water and scout ahead to make sure that there's nothing that can't be seen.
Okay,
by
Shylvie hops
number
into the water off the ship. And you, with your Cloak of the Manta Ray, are easily able to jettison ahead of the crew. How are they going to be watching you or being notified of potential issues? You notice from this, your opportunity to kind of observe beneath the waves. First of all, you hear every minute or so the boom boom of a heartbeat through the water. Subtle, but a little bit less subtle than it was when you heard it over in the southern tip of the northwestern island. So how will you be indicating towards the crew of any potential issues? Are you just going to be shouting out, or
I just need to check my spell list real quick. I think I have message.
Okay, messages how far?
A cantrip?
40 feet, and no, I do not. Yeah, no.
Are you talking right now?
It's
Yes.
very muffled.
Why does
Sorry,
your
I got
audio
it.
keep doing that?
Huh?
Are you stepping away from your headset? Why does it keep doing that?
No. I'm not using my headset right now because it causes problems.
Okay, so
So, sorry, I need to talk louder when using this, but it doesn't make the
because
noise.
oh, I see. Yep, that helps.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
All
better.
right.
Okay, so anyways, you were saying?
If all else, you can shoot off
yeah.
Eldritch Blast in the air.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Kind of flare up any notable ones. So the ones above that poke above the sea are easily noticeable, especially by the captain with their keen eye. But Shylvie, you note by shooting up an Eldritch Blast here and there of several just below the water sort of rocky outcroppings. And Shylvie, you actually make a perception check for me. You do notice various bits of debris or flotsam.
Perception again?
Perception.
8.
8. So you do notice the bits of maybe bits of a scattered piece of driftwood here. You see a wheel of a ship on one rock. And that's the only thing of particular note you notice. But yeah. You all are able... Siegfried, are you doing anything to assist with the ship? The captain, using Shylvie's guidance, is sort of guiding the crew. 10 degrees starboard. All right. Hook it around port in 10 seconds. He's kind of directing the crew. Are you assisting with this? I'm gonna start having the navigator make ship handling checks.
And he's probably just gonna help with the heavy lifting.
All right, you're able to sort of assist with pulling the sails to and fro as the ship is sort of lowering and raising its speed, kind of shifting the sails to catch breezes to get around certain obstacles that Shylvie makes note of. So I'm going to give our navigator advantage here. 3 plus 9 is 12. Okay, so even with Shylvie's guidance and with the assistance from Siegfried and Zen, how are you helping?
If a So I would probably switch between being another set of eyes,
Okay.
and also going down to repair, like, with my mending
And
spell.
you get the opportunity to do so with your mending spell as the ship grazes against the side of a rock. Shylvie, you kind of get like your ooh as you see it cross. It was so close to missing it, but it just barely nicked around the side of the ship. No damage, Zen, as you descend. No damage on the inside of the ship, but the outside boards appear to be pretty scraped up. It weakened the hull ever so slightly, but it didn't appear to pierce the hull, which would have been much more problematic. But you're able to
Okay.
sort of, if you would like, Huge can put you in his hand and lean down and sort of let you cast Mending on the side of the ship to sort of affix the boards back into place.
I mean that could just once we get through, because we're still going through this rocky
It's going to be
water right
3
now.
more
So,
checks to get through successfully.
so yeah, I'll just wait because literally as soon as we can like
Okay, you're on the
park,
deck at the
I
ready.
can do it. Yeah, I'll wait till there's more substantial damage.
Okay,
And,
all right.
yeah.
Shylvie, Zen, and Siegfried, make a perception check for me. Siegfried, buddy. Siegfried, your salamander burps, and you wonder what he ate. And then you notice that one of the barrels on the deck, that had some rations on it is gone. Shylvie, Zen, you're kind of glancing around, and you think you hear something, like a call of some sort, like a vocalization, but you're not quite sure what. Shylvie, you distinctly hear the sound of singing, maybe? It's sort of a discordant melody. It's nothing like what you produce or what you've heard. It's not exactly pretty, but it is sort of entrancing. And you sort of glance off, and you're looking amongst the rocks for whatever you're seeing, and you can't quite see anything of note, but you just hear the sound sort of coming from someplace in the rocky sort of along the rocky area, just about like here-ish, I'd say. So you guys are about here now. You're almost through. You just have one last segment to go. And the captain, actually, with his spyglass, he's able to swing his vision around. And Shylvie, as you are just hearing this, the captain, anybody on deck notices, he shouts out, "Everybody cork your ears! I'm coming to the front of the ship!" And he, starts to begin to, like, people begin to shove various, things in their ears. He shouts off the front of the ship, "Shylvie, cover your ears if able! Just swim ahead and keep guiding us with the blasts!"
Every single thing on me is an ear. I can't do that. But okay.
Well, then you might want to hop on ship so we can tie you down, friend. And he, stuffs some, cotton that he has from his, coat pocket into his ears.
We just shoved Shylvie in a barrel.
Oh, no!
Here now.
Shylvie, are you going to maintain your course, ahead of the ship?
Shylvie's going to head back.
Alright, Shylvie, you hop onto the ship. Are you doing anything to restrain yourself in any way? You see the crew have some have wrapped, sort of thick cloths around their heads. Some are wearing what were their shirts are now wrapped around their head in such a way to block their ears. Huge is just covering his ears with his hands. The salamander is not covering its ears because it doesn't care.
She whispers over to him, "These are sirens, right?"
The captain takes the cotton out of his ear and says, "What?"
Are these sirens?
"Oh yeah, you better believe it. I'm not sure what specific kind, but you start to hear discordant melodies like that, every sailor knows you plug up your ears." or at least any sailor worth his salt. And so
This is going to be a problem. I don't know how to restrain myself without bringing up some old trauma.
And he says,
God, I'm gonna have to
just
do
try
this.
going below deck. If someone has any issues, we could try to help you out if possible.
We can knock you out.
Do you by any chance have a barrel?
Plenty of barrels. Why? Is that the problematic one?
Yep, and that's probably the only thing that can restrain me.
What about a crate?
There's a couple in the store below deck. You could pick your favorite.
All right, just don't be surprised if you find me in a puddle of tears afterwards.
Oh, well, it's better than... Huh. I guess you wouldn't drown, but in a siren's stomach, I suppose. And, Shylvie, you go below deck, and do you find a barrel? There is a couple near the front that are empty. There's a couple in the back that are empty, but as you start to head back there, you get an icky feeling in the back of your head, and you decide to pick one of the more visible ones. Alright, so Shylvie's in a barrel, everybody's covering their ears. I assume, Zen, Siegfried, are you covering your ears?
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah.
Siegfried, you didn't notice it at first, but when the captain shouted it out, you did hear him at least. And you all are covering your ears, and the captain is sort of using hand motions to indicate the directions that the ship needs to travel as he leans forward, but is also seems to be keeping a keen eye on the rocks around. He actually indicates towards Zen and Siegfried, and he does the, like, 2 fingers towards the eyes and 2 fingers out across. And he seems to be indicating for both of you to keep your eyes out. I'm going to have all 3 of you roll perception checks. The captain, Siegfried, and Zen.
30-20.
Nice. And the captain did good. Siegfried, buddy. Your salamander begins to, like, look at it, like, kind of curl around a little bit. Kind of get comfortable. It looks at its tail. It slowly begins to open its mouth and sort of put it on its tail. And you get the feeling in your head of just like, would that work? Nah.
Ouroboros.
Yeah. Essentially. Okay, so, everybody has their ears covered. I guess I'll just have the only thing that, as you all pass, you see Zen. The captain notices it first, and you notice quickly soon after. As the ship passes by a kind of largish, sort of like a 10, 15-foot radius sort of mini rocky island that's formed of these various jagged rocks, you do notice a couple of skeletons at the base of this tiny island. As the ship passes by it, you see, leaning back, basking, this scaly, I would say mermaid, but that wouldn't give the correct impression. It is a mermaid in so that it is top half a beautiful, it appears sort of fayish looking woman with sort of a surprisingly long nose and pointed ears that come down into 2 more extra points, almost kind of like Finnish. Not Finnish, like they have fins in the ears. Anyways. But the face appears gaunt. The cheeks sullen and sunken in, and the eyes sort of reverse of the color they should be, where the iris is black and the pupil is white. Otherwise, voluptuous and attractive and lovely, except for the face and the scraggly hair. I'd say very much so. Topless, but that goes without saying. And you do see, leaning back against the rocks and sort of waving sort of doing a come hither motion, you see the jaw opening and distending ever so slightly, extending much more than it should be able to, and you see the throat opening and closing, and you feel the vibrations against your hand, but you are not listening, or you are avoiding listening to the call as you all pass by, and the captain sort of indicates towards you and just like looks at you and has a little bit of fear in his eyes, but just nods and indicates for the rest of the crew, like he does the like speeded up motion, and the rest of the crew unfurl the sails. The final check for this, I don't know if we ever did a second check, but meh. The final check for this is unfortunately going to be at disadvantage due to the crew kind of having to work under pressure here a little bit.
How far are we from the siren?
You're passing by. They're about 20 feet behind you now. Like, you're about to, like, be beyond them. If you wanted to do anything earlier, you can do so.
So, I like, point at the, like, I get the captain's attention and point at my bow. And I'm just like,
and he just kind of shakes his head, and mouths the words, not today.
Siegfried's gonna glare at them.
At the siren?
Yep.
Okay, so you, hands on your ears, glare at the siren. Go ahead and roll intimidation as you pass by. You know how Luigi gets that really mean face when he passes people in Mario Kart? It's like that.
Oh,
Damn, Siegfried, what's going on today, man?
I don't know.
But yeah, the face actually closes their mouth for a little bit and does a little kissy face at you, like mwah, and winks.
You're irresistible.
And you can almost hear the squelching of the eye as it winks, as they continue then their melody as you pass by. Eventually, the captain slowly takes the cotton out of one of his ears, waits a moment, and then takes the other piece out, and he's just like, taps his ears, just like, we're good! Let's keep it moving, we're out of the rocks! As you all pass through the final segment of the rocky coastline. And this did take a pretty good chunk of time to get through this area, especially with how, the various threats that were present. I don't think I kind of expressed the amount of time it took very well, but we'll say that this took you the better part of a good half of a day.
So why shouldn't I have just shot it?
The captain speaks up and is just like, if you harass them, others might come around. I've seen some that ally with harpies to grab folks off ships once they have them either provoked or hooked. You know what I mean? It's better to just avoid them when you can. Any sailor worth his salt knows what he's doing and will report it when we're able to. If people know that there's one in the region, they'll send out some folks to kill it, I'm sure. But right now, we're on business, right?
Yeah. Is there any damage to the ship that I should try to repair?
There are minor scrapes. Oh, I guess I never rolled for that final segment, huh? Fuck it. You got through no problem. Yeah, fuck it. We'll just say, with that, you were able to get through no problem. The crew had the distraction from the siren, but, I mean, I guess I might as well for the last bit of potential damage. Yeah, there's a board missing on the bottom of the ship. The crew is, quickly going about their business to try and set it back up. Huge is sort of, holding some, boards in place as you help nail them down. I guess just go ahead and make a general dexterity check for me.
I would just do mending though.
You just do mending, and you are able to sort of bring the board back into place magically, as it is also just for extra measure nailed back into place and sort of repositioned in a way that the magic is able to mend it in a way that it is now not broken at all. And we'll just say that the ship suffered minor scrapes, but the mending was able to help with any damage beyond that, because there was no major damage to the ship. All right. You're coasting around the Blue Beacon Lighthouse. And as you are doing so, you are beginning to approach one of the largest shipyards you have ever seen, garrisoned off by large, what appear to be kind of like square, towers that are about, I'd say about 20 to 30 feet tall. It varies, that are connected by rope, bridges that go across a massive radius around this shipyard. Appear to be various towers, both to watch or to fire from, should this area be ever attacked. You guys give the spot a wide berth, but you do notice one large vessel, is currently out and about, and it is curving around to sort of come up and keep pace with your ship. Are you doing anything in particular to prepare for the parley that is about to occur?
I'm going to. Let me just make sure I have them right.
The captain, you see, is sort of wave it, has them raise whatever nautical flag is for the purposes of parley. Because I know there's a lot of nautical flags for communication. I don't know exactly what they are, unfortunately, but there is one, and he raises it for the ability to parley or what have you.
Okay, so I'm gonna go up to the other two and be like, hey, since we're gonna have to pay these guys off, can you guys just both give me 590 gold? Will that covers paying off these guys and this exchange that we're about to have?
Shylvie, speak up.
Yeah.
Oh, did
So-
you hear that?
Can you
No.
not hear me? I essentially was like, hey, can you give me 590 gold as your part of paying off these guys and the bribe we're about to give?
Shylvie, can you not hear it?
Oh yes, no, I can.
Okay.
Uh,
Siegfried, what about you? Are you good with this plan?
So he's gonna shake his head no,
Why?
because he already paid 5,000 on the house.
Huh.
I
The ship is about 100 feet behind you guys and approaching up to come to keep pace with you. As Siegfried shakes his head.
I mean,
Shylvie-
that's sort of a different thing, but okay.
Shylvie rolls her eyes and spits his portion as well out.
Aw. Alright, so Shylvie doubles down on that.
Where were your eyes exactly?
Where they normally are, she
Oh, okay.
generally keeps a humanoid form.
And you all are able to hand your gold off to, I guess Zen is the one collecting it?
I mean, unless Shylvie wants to do the talking with these guys, I mean, I don't care either way.
About 50 feet away, and you do see the captain, or what appears to be the gentleman in charge, a man in a blue vest with what appears to be a flower of some sort, a silver flower adorning his breast. A human gentleman who appears to be waving back towards Captain Dawnstar as the captain waves along. We're about to parley. Do we have the and he kind of rubs his fingers together.
And I pull out a sack of 1,000 gold and just toss it to him.
All right, I'll take care of this. So what's our story, real quick?
We're just we're making a stop at the Subsea Kingdom for some business.
All right,
Keep it
sounds good.
simple.
And the captain sort of raises his hand as the ship comes alongside with yours is now keeping pace. They're about like 15 feet away, but the Navy gentleman, military man, is able to sort of come across the deck and lean over. The ship being slightly taller than yours, he's about, I'd say, like 20 feet away and slightly up from or well, not 20 feet up, but he's 20 feet distance, like if we're talking hypotenuse from Captain Dawnstar. And Captain Dawnstar sort of tips his hat, and then military man tips his hat in the direction as well. What is the location that this vessel is heading towards? And the captain sort of looks over to you all, nods, and is just like, we're making a stop by the Subsea Kingdom for business right now. Should be a relatively quick trip. Just passing through. Figured the northern route would be a little bit safer this time of year. And so the captain does so. I'm going to have him make a persuasion check. Yeah, no problem. And the Navy gentleman, sort of nods, says, currently there is a bit of a, threat, being presented by the Subsea Kingdom towards Arcanautus. I'm not sure if you've heard, if you've, docked in the region at all, but, there was a, terror attack not too few days ago, or about a week at this point. We're just, gonna run a quick check of your ship if that's alright. We hopefully won't find anything of particular note. And he kind of nods, and they appear to be getting a boarding board ready for the ship. We could both drop anchor here. This will take but a few moments. And the captain kind of looks towards you guys for kind of a positive or negative response. Huge kind of leans away from where they're about to put the board. The multiplier salamander stares at the other ship hungrily.
By the way, Shylvie has been in half-elf form.
A Shylvie in half-elf form, yep. Shylvie, just as a note, I didn't hear the first half of what you said, besides that.
She's been in I meant to say that she's in half-elf form for, like, the entire conversation.
Okay, that's fine. I assume when there's interactions, unless you say otherwise, that you make yourself the least volatile thing.
Yep.
But thank you for specifying. Zen, Siegfried, are you doing anything in particular? Siegfried, you feel hungry and that there is potential food on that other ship.
I don't think Siegfried's doing anything right now.
Okay, Siegfried's just kind of hanging, just allowing that feeling to exist.
Yeah.
Okay. Noted. Zen?
How far is the Subsea Kingdom from us right now?
You're probably a couple, like, I'd say 3 more days. 2.5 if the winds are no longer with you, unfortunately. So yeah, I'd say about 3 days.
Okay, and the that thing that allows us to shrink the salamander, that recharges every day?
Yeah, recharges at dawn every day.
And it shrinks it for a minute?
Yes. He would be
medium. It would
wait, no,
he's to medium.
Wait, was he medium or large? He was large. He was the size of a little bit bigger than a horse right now. Right?
So he'd be shrunk down. Yeah.
So he'd be small again.
So I look to those two and be like, should we shrink the salamander?
For what?
I mean, most people look at the thing and it's dangerous. I don't want to raise any. Forget it. I don't want to cause a scene. Forget it. We'll just let it rock. Whatever happens, happens.
Siegfried still have that the shark he caught?
It's been a few days. You would have stored it or fed it to the salamander by this point, I think, right?
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
You were able to get a couple pieces of meat preserved and salted, so you do have some extra salted shark meat if you'd like.
Alright.
Are you thinking of like distractions that you could feed the salamander or something?
Yeah.
You still have 7 Saltmire crew sailors as well.
Yeah, it's true. I can't feed them to the salamander.
And Huge is also sitting across from the salamander, and at this point has noticed it eyeing the other ship, and is sort of like shaking his head and whispers, "No, not today, not these."
Not these. I mean,
The salamander ignores him. You see two just military folks in typical kind of Navy attire, with one with a bit of chainmail on, the other in kind of a studded leather sort of get-up, underneath the chainmail worn above, the studded leather worn below their uniforms. They both kind of nod and sort of just see everybody, and just sort of, one of them, while they inspect around, the other greets people. The gentleman in the chainmail comes up to you, Zen, and nods at you and says, "Hey there, how's your sailing been going so far?"
we almost got into a scuffle with a siren at that rocky bluff out there, but other than that, not
To
too
the
bad.
north?
Yes.
We keep driving them away, but they keep coming back. We'll probably send a ship up there in a little while. We'll probably have somebody out by end of day. Thank you for telling us. That's important. Always appreciate
By
it.
the way,
problem.
one thing on that.
Huh?
Fate creatures.
Yep, you're cutting out. Speak up.
Sorry. Shylvie heads over to them and gives them a little piece of advice for dealing with Fae, which is, if you want them to be gone for a longer period of time, make them want to leave. They have a very, very says you attitude. Many cases.
Well, firing crossbow bolts into him if firing crossbow bolts into him aren't making him want to leave, I don't know what will, honestly.
Just stroke their defiance. Trust me on this. Get them to leave by either pointing out a better location for them to be to catch travelers, or
That seems a little counter to what we do, pardon my saying.
Fair enough. Do as you will.
Of course, we'll send some crews out in a little while. The other gentleman, in the studded leather, goes up to Huge, and it's just like, what's your story? And Huge, responds with a curt nod, and says in a deep baritone, "Huge." The gentleman nods in complete understanding, turns towards the salamander, and then just looks back to Huge and says, "Your pet?" And Huge kind of shakes his head and points towards Siegfried. The gentleman in the studded leathers comes over to Siegfried now. The gentleman in the chainmail heads below deck, possibly to examine your storerooms. The gentleman in the studded leather speaks now to Siegfried. Siegfried, he says to you, this creature here, the big lizard, what's its, is this thing gonna be a problem, do you think? Or you have that under control? It's eyeballing me awful hungry like.
Alright, so I'm gonna use a rage and then just say huge.
Interesting. Okay. Your muscles tense and you grit your teeth. Go ahead and make an intimidation with advantage because of your rage, I guess. Yeah, because I'd use strength in this case, so
He
go
just
for it.
screams
Go for it.
huge at him.
That's
Great.
interesting. Twice. Oh
my
fuck yeah.
god!
Oh fuck yeah. The dude like kowtows a little bit. He's just like or no, goes like in the direction of doing that, and he's just like, of course, yes, yeah, and he just kind of quickly makes his way off of the ship. and the captain of their vessel kind of looks at him funny and comes down. And he begins to step halfway across the plank, and Captain Dawnstar sort of leans towards Zen now and is just like, all right, the gold.
I walk up to the captain and say, hello, sir. I've heard of how this typically goes. Thank you for your service. And I hand him over the sack of gold.
He looks at it for a moment, and sees kind of the heft of this pouch, because this is a lot of gold. And he indicates, or he says, I should say, did you have a specific request here? Because usually such donations, while happily accepted, come with this request of one type or another. Are we avoiding seeing something or avoiding seeing you? He says quietly to you under his breath.
Let's just say that we're nobody.
Understood.
You don't know us.
And he will take the gold then and head back to his ship. All right. Clarence, they're good. And he's going to return to his ship. The gentleman in the chain is going to return to the top, sort of dust himself off, and head back over to the ship. They raise the board and send you on your merry way with a wave. Captain Dawnstar kind of looks at you all, sort of claps once as the vessel begins to return back into the large military port, and he says, "Ha, that was pretty good. Siegfried, I noticed that you scared the shit out of that sailor man. Good on ya. But that transaction seemed to go rather well. I get the feeling if we pass by again, they won't exactly be requesting such a sum as they may probably be considering. Especially if we get the same ship as before, they'll probably remember us. So hopefully we won't have to do such a donation again. Maybe nice. A little less next time, but either way, that went smoother than I could possibly have imagined."
I'm going to toss a good berry to the salamander.
Oh.
One to the salamander and one to Huge. You know me, I always got my if I don't cast spells that day before, I always got my sack of good berries.
Yeah. Huge pops one in his mouth and it's just like, thank you. The tiny berry satisfies a huge hunger. The salamander likewise
eat berries?
It's a magic berry. The salamander consumes the berry and feels somehow sated. Siegfried.
I'm just gonna do this every day.
It's a strange feeling, the salamander being so not hungry. It's rather curious. It feels like it might still want to eat something just for the sake of eating something, but it doesn't need to. All right, so this final stretch, I'm going to roll 3 times for any events. And we're going to see if anything occurs. The last day is going to have special odds.
Ooh. Can I...
Sup? Fuck.
For the time when we were near the volcanic island, could I try to do the thing I did before with the
I would say a lot of that time was spent navigating the rocks and sort of it was a very intense endeavor. I'd say beforehand, if you want to have expended a spell slot, sure, why not? What were you searching for? What were you casting locate object for?
I was just gonna try to see if I find an adamantine again.
Adamantine.
If anything else, if I know where it is.
Specifically adamantine. And now, as you're passing through the rocky region, or as you were near the north-southeast western side of the volcano island? Because you guys didn't pass too close to it. I know it looks closer, but yeah. Say again?
Oh, we weren't that close? Okay, well, the range of it isn't that big anyway, so like if we weren't actually close. Well, sure. Then just like
Okay,
I
roll
just
one.
want to
Roll
know
a d20 for me,
a d20. Okay.
and then we will
D20.
address what just happened on my side of the screen. Okay, 16. With a 16, unfortunately, you don't detect any adamantine in the amount of time you had to cast the spell. Sadly,
That's fine. Just want to know.
of course. Now let's talk about those sixes. Okay, so I guess first things first. As you are sort of passing along the shoreline, staying far enough away that you're avoiding most of the stones, you are suddenly you hear the flapping of various wings, and you see coming off of the rocky shoreline several kind of white shapes from the side, and you hear a very distinctive just awful screeching noise. As you notice 3 dire gulls begin to head towards the ship.
Not the dire goals.
Not the dire gulls.
Oh, lovely.
Everybody
we
just
finally
roll.
get to,
Sorry?
we finally get to fight them.
Alright, everybody
Finally.
roll initiative.
Roll in it yet.
Why did it roll twice? Oh, never mind. That was my roll for the find. I rolled very bad, very bad.
Okay. I will say we probably do we need a map for this?
They're in the air
We
above
might
us.
not. We might not. I'll just say here. We'll position everybody sort of. I mean, fuck it. Here, one sec. First of all, I don't have a thing for the dire gulls somehow. Do I have any birds? This isn't a bird, but I really like it, so we're gonna use it again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which one is it?
Sorry?
Well, never mind. Forget it.
Okay, so I guess copy. And now let's move to sea combat. And now paste. Alright, and I'll move everybody over here. Boop.
Ooh, yes.
How do
Yeah.
I get rid of this? Okay, there we go.
Seeing double.
Okay, so we have the dire gulls. We have Zalphos is below deck. We got Shylvie. We got Halo. We got Huge. Oh fuck! Excuse me. We've got Huge. We've got the Salamander. You know, a large creature doesn't take up 2 spaces, does it? Huh.
It takes up 4.
Does it?
Well, anywhere
Horses
between
are large.
I feel like but
Anywhere
so
between
5
2 and
feet.
4.
Okay.
Yeah, the salamander would probably take up 2 because it's longer than it is wide, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna consider the salamander, for all intents and purposes, the salamander is gonna be not that. He's gonna be 1.
Alright.
Okay, so we have our crew folks here.
All right, so a large creature is 10 by 10. So
Oh,
4
noted.
squares.
Again, horses are large creatures, just to reiterate.
Yeah,
but
they're just
I
5
gotcha.
by 1.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that species of salamander, by the way. I just
The
realized
Japanese giant salamander?
I love those so much. They're
Yeah.
so They're so cute. They're so cute.
They're pretty cool. Anyways, so Zalphos is he's in the water. Who cares? Anyways,
He's
fight
drowning,
time,
oh no!
everybody. Here, everybody, roll initiative for me.
We already did.
You definitely did. Here, and I'm just gonna have everybody on the crew go at this number. Okay, cool. All right. So wow, kind of low rolls for our lovely party here.
That's fine.
Let me get my notepad out. All right, so Zen or crew got a 19. The gulls got a what's their dex? +0. Okay. Gulls got a 4.
Oh wow.
Shylvie got a 9. Siegfried got a 5. And Zen got 8. Okay. Okay. Huge is going to stand up to his full height. And he's going to grab one of the ballista. The dire gulls, these two-headed seagull monstrosities, are descending quickly towards the ship. As they descend quickly, Huge grabs one of the ballista bolts and just chucks it. I have his stats on the other computer, which is right here. Oh, wait, no, his stats are this. Oh, no, come on. Did this turn off? There we go.
I think you said his strength was a 23.
Yeah, strength, yes. Strength is currently a 22. Yeah. But that's for punching things. This is, well, I'd say it's a javelin for all intents and purposes. We could argue that, right? Yeah,
That's what
I'd
I
say
was thinking.
so. Fuck it. Alright, so where is roll 20? I lost it. There we go. He's gonna chuck it at the nearest seagull. You see this gentleman hurl this bolt with the force that it would probably have if launched from a ballista. So let's just roll to hit for him. I believe that's a +5. Oh, buddy. One of the gulls explodes. As a ballista bolt pierces straight through it. I guess... Oh, actually, it doesn't explode. One of its heads is taken off, though. As it is essentially destroyed by this ballista bolt, which goes through the head and takes the head with it far off into the sea. The bird immediately turns around and begins to fly away. This one's being a little bitch. Alright. Next up in the turn order, I guess the salamander. The salamander opens its mouth and waits. Kaiser is going to let loose a crossbow bolt. I forget his dex. I think it's +4. Plus proficiency, which would be like... Yeah. And I think that's enough to hit anyways. Yes, it is. Alright. Crossbow bolts deal like a D8, I think, right?
Depends on the crossbow.
It's a light crossbow. It's a D8.
Yep.
Make that a 7. Alright, so 7 damage to that one. So one of them took 18 damage and it is missing a head. One of them took 7 damage.
Did you add the damage for the straight strength?
No. So remember when I said that the gull didn't explode?
Mm-hmm.
It did. It did explode. There's nothing left. There's just feathers and dust.
Why dust?
Because it was that powerful. Anyways, and the other gull is chunked into its flesh, its gull flesh. Next up in the turn order, I'd say the captain gets a bow ready and is holding his action for it to approach one of the crew members. Shylvie, you're up. There are 2 gulls remaining.
Shylvie is going to Eldritch Blast.
Eldritch Blast. The damaged one or the non-damaged one?
The damaged one.
All right, roll to hit. I believe it's twice at this level, right?
Yep. 2 a d20 plus 8. That is going to be a
That's a hit
13.
and a hit. Roll your damage.
Right. And I have Agonizing Blast now, so...
Nice, nice.
Alright, that will be 26 damage.
That is enough to blow up the gull. As one Eldritch Blast blows off one head and the other blows off the other. The torso and wings careen downwards straight into the sea. As that gull falls lifeless and headless into the sea. The final gull realizes that they might be swinging a little bit above their weight class at this point, and seems to be questioning its life choices, but it's at the bottom of the initiative order. Zen, you're next.
I'm going to fire at it with my bow.
Uh-huh. Oh, can't forget about Halo.
Yeah, Halo 2.
Alright. Roll the hit, my dit.
Oh.
That is a match, I believe. Oh, no. Natural ones are an automatic miss. You fire off at it, and the bolt sails above. It takes one of its wings and wipes its brow. Whew! In relief.
I now send Halo careening towards it.
Before the magic sword just careens towards, and I assume through it. Let's find out, though.
Yeah, so Halo gets I believe it's a plus. Let me just make sure I don't get this wrong.
You get the feeling these things are scary, but only if you're not magic or well prepared.
Halo gets a +6 to hit.
That hits.
Hit. Let's do damage, which would be 3d6 plus.
That's a lot of damage. As Halo pierces into the gull as it flaps away and just is pouring blood out of it, and it begins to falter and fall a little bit towards the sea. It's about 10 feet above the water at this point, about same level as the ship. Yeah, that's where it's at. Is that the end of Halo's turn?
Yeah.
Alright, cool beans. Next up is Siegfried. Siegfried, there's one severely injured gull remaining. Both of the heads seem to be looking at each other and just questioning why they would choose this life.
I'm gonna glare at him.
Go ahead. Is this a rage glare or a regular glare?
It's a regular glare.
Alright, go ahead and roll intimidation for me.
15.
It's a 15. I'd say with that, it comes to the gull's turn, and it disengages, and it fucking pouring blood off into the sea. You see it just falls into the sea, and at this point, as it is falling towards the sea, you all feel the ship rock for just a moment. As emerging out from below the waves, you realize Arcanautus isn't that far away. Or, I apologize, opposite of that. The Subsea Kingdom isn't that far away. You're about a day away from Good Tide Outpost at the max, if not a little bit less. As from the sea into massive, I'd say about 15-foot jaws, emerges from the sea, snapping up this last dire gull, I need to zoom out a lot. I need this map to be bigger. Just give me a sec. That might do it. Excuse me for a minute. This is going to take just a moment to set up. That'll do. As object and tokens. The goal... Oh, come on now. Goal was about here. Emerging from the sea, snapping it up. You see, and pardon the really, really shitty icon for this. Oh, I have to zoom in to actually make it bigger. 1, 2, 3. You see, emerging from the sea, what appears to be a serpent of sorts, with a large spike protruding from the front of its head, a large hooked jaw that kind of underbites as these sharp rows of teeth that face backwards, sort of towards the mouth, snap up and trap the gull as it is swallowed up, and you actually see a splash of blood come out as this thing tears into the gull, viscerally. You see, as it emerges as well from the ocean, jumping up ever so slightly, 2 long limbs with 20-foot scythes to either side of them. This kind of chitinous bone-like material sharpened to a razor edge on the scythe-like talons that it has on its sides. You see affixed to its back a metal structure, sort of like a little... Well, imagine like the shell sort of body of a car, like I'd say like a Hummer. Like this is a relatively large creature as well. I'd say probably 20, 25, maybe 30 foot, around 30 foot diameter body. And you assume this thing is somewhere around probably 80 feet long. As you see it snap up this creature, and you also note that it has a large bit of armor plating that extends from below its jaw to sticking out behind its neck in sort of a V-like shape. And that is what you see before you. It lowers back into the sea ever so slightly, the metal ship still present. And you notice that there are glass, sort of a pseudo, set of portholes all along the sides. Oh, I apologize. A very important, notable piece of this is the 3 sets of eyes, all glowing yellow, that you see affixed to this either side of this serpent's face.
Is the horn onyx horn?
No, the horn appears to just be made out of... Its skin is sort of a deepish blue, and the horn extends out and sort of fades into a reddish and then a white shape, where it appears that it is kind of like a narwhal horn at the end. It appears to be for ramming or stabbing. So yeah, that's what you see in front of you. I think... How big is Gargantuan?
I don't know. Large is 10 feet. A huge would be 100. I guess Gargantuan would be 1,000.
No. 1 sec.
Or would huge be 50?
All right, hold up, I've got it.
Anyway, so yeah, that's what you see before you. Everybody, we're maintaining initiative, but this creature is going to roll into initiative.
Yep. A gargantuan creature takes up at least a 4x4 square.
Yeah, nah, it takes up more than that. Given the nature of its size. Yes, you did read that right.
It is the largest.
Okay.
It is the largest size of creature in the game.
Yes.
So
yeah. It's big. It's really big. It's really long, too. And like I said, does have that sort of almost Hummer-sized metal structure.
It got a backpack.
Essentially a metal backpack, yes, near behind the armor plating around its head and neck. And yes, that is a 25 that it got for initiative, so let me write that in. And we are at the top of the round again.
This is why I didn't want to
It
come
appears to have settled now, for just a moment. It is not doing anything as its head sinks back down below the water, but it maintains... You still see the armored spikes of the armor from its neck sticking out above the water, and you still see that it is keeping the, I guess, almost vehicular saddle above the water, perhaps so that the whatever is looking out the portholes can see the ship. You are currently looking at what you will soon learn is called the Hunter Serpent.
I don't like it.
Uh-huh.
It looks cool.
Yep.
I don't like it.
Yep. I will get a full body art of it at some point if it doesn't die today.
I see.
I have the hiccups. I'm so sorry. So yeah,
So
first
does it just end its turn?
I apologize. Yeah. It spends its first turn waiting. You see it's the armor plating on its neck indicates that it is turning its head towards the ship, but then you see it stop for a moment and begin to just float there for but a second. The speed at which it shot out of the water, you were able to see that this thing definitely is at least 80 feet long, but that's sort of the speed that it was able to launch itself out of the water with, you could tell. But now it's immobilized for whatever reason. Next up is the crew. Huge has stars in his eyes. He is cracking his knuckles, and he is getting in a diving position, ready to jump into the water.
Oh, well.
I'm so ready.
Should we
Just
stop
give
him?
the word, and my huge quest will continue.
I'm looking. Should we stop him? Should we disengage? Should we go?
Jeffrey's gonna shake his head no.
Oh,
This is
no.
his quest.
Alright.
So you want to fight that thing?
This thing, by the way, is definitely much bigger than the ship.
It's bigger than the ship, guys.
How big is the
Like,
ship?
what?
Wait, maybe not. The ship is what, 80 feet? Or, yeah, it's the size of the ship. It's the same size as the ship.
Guys, that thing's as big as our ship.
It has more mass than the ship, you theorize. Or maybe just around the same, you're not sure.
Guys. Shylvie, say something.
Shylvie, he's asking for input. Shylvie?
I doubt that if we tell him no, he's going to listen to us.
This is huge, not Siegfried we're talking about.
He literally just said give him the word, so he's listening.
Let them fight.
I doubt that we can outrun this thing by the looks of it.
But it hasn't
I say that we
shown
make an
outright
attempt.
aggression.
Sorry?
Fine. Let's move away from it, and if it pursues us, then we let him go. All right?
Indeed.
All right, Huge. Hold your action. Hold up right now. We'll see if it tries to do anything. Then go ham, buddy.
He nods and he says, "If it attacks the ship, I attack it." And he will hold the attack action. I'll just make a little note on him that he is doing. So he's on this edge of the ship, adjacent to the salamander. I'll do the little thing. I'll do green for holding his action. Next up in the turn order, or next up in the crew order, is going to be Nox. Nox sees the thing and says, "Nah." Or, I mean, no. No. That's not, See, if it attacks the ship, we might not have a ship. I mean, if we kill it quick enough, though, I bet those mechanical parts are worth something. Just saying. So that's Nox's input, and he gets his crossbow ready. And you do notice as well that he has his duplicate out. Yep, so he is battle ready. Next up in the order is Captain Dawnstar. Captain Dawnstar says, "It's not attacking yet. It might be tamed, but I don't
like it has
trust
people in it.
I don't trust our underwater brethren that much, if I'm being honest." And that's Captain Dawnstar's input. He grabs a crossbow as well and has it loaded. I'm gonna say all these people are holding their actions. I will say the image of Nox, it has a crossbow, but there isn't a bolt in it. It appears that his companion only really works for melee attacks, so he does also make note of this. He's just like, also, this doesn't really work for shooting.
It looks cool, though.
It looks really good. I'm proud of it. And the salamander has its mouth open and ready, also going to jump into the water if given the opportunity.
It's gonna. Oh, this is gonna be hectic.
It's making that loud hissing noise that salamanders make. All right, I believe that is everybody. Shylvie, you are next up in the turn order.
I am. What is the cleric's name again?
Zelphos. I finally can remember Zelphos' name.
Yep.
Also, I need to give him a little thing so I can see him.
Shylvie heads below decks to go get Zelphos.
Zelphos, who was sleeping between some crates, wakes up. Hey, Shylvie, what's up? Are we there?
No, but we have something very, very scary up top, and we may need a lot of healing very soon.
Right? All right, just send the injured down, and I'll take care of him lickety-split. And he kind of rubs his hands together and clutches the symbol of the slumbering serpent.
All right. I'll be there to make the job a little bit easier for you as well. Stay safe, and if you hear things cracking underwater, under the ship, you might want to head up to slightly higher ground, all right?
All right. Sounds good.
The serpent is... the thing out there is as big as the ship, so please
and
be
his
careful.
face goes, all the blood drains from his face. He's pale white right now. Okay. And he is as ready as he'll ever be. I'll roll him into initiative. 10, sure.
All right.
Just shitting his pants.
Maybe. Yeah. Shylvie, you have headed down deck. You were right by the stairs, so you're able to get back above deck. You can see from this distance the metal structure raised and the points of the neck armor sticking up.
Yep.
And it's still facing the other direction?
It's facing towards... okay, so the head of the creature, based on the neck armor, is facing towards your ship.
I see. I thought it was facing the other way.
I apologize. Yeah, this isn't... Here, one sec. Sorry, this isn't super great. Because, it's not... It's drawn from the side. So, it's not the... Can I wonder...
If you want to... You can make it upside down, and it'll mean the same thing to us. Like, I just want to know what direct... I mean, you could keep it how it was. I just didn't realize it was facing us. What the...
Yeesh.
It looks like a sperm with vengeance in mind.
It's better icon though, isn't it?
Yes.
Sure, bud.
Shut
But
up.
what about when you need to move it?
I'm gonna group it, so hopefully it'll work. Let's find out. You know, Roll20 has always been so good with the drawings and stuff. Okay, so can I group? All right, it's been grouped. Can I move it? Oh, fuck yeah. All right, we're in business, boys.
Hell yeah.
All right.
Oh,
I'll keep this up here for reference to what it should look like, and I'll keep my MS Paint drawing of it there for the actual battle sprite. So this is the metal structure. I apologize. It has 2 sets of these. That's not what a scythe looks like, but whatever. It looks perfect. I don't know what you're talking about. Anyways, so yeah, you're fighting the thing.
I don't want to fight it.
It looks very mean. All right. Sorry. Continuing. Who is next? Shylvie, are you doing anything else?
Shylvie's gonna hold her action, and in the case of it showing aggression, Eldritch Blast.
Eldritch Blast. All right. So everybody with green on them is holding an attack action. Just a reminder.
It's everyone. I think everyone is just gonna do that.
Uh-huh.
Alright, so it's my
What
turn
about
now?
Halo?
What do you mean? Halo can hold actions.
Yes, because they are a creature for all intents and purposes.
So if it's my turn, I'm going to activate my Divine Soul
Yes.
and Hunter's Mark the monster.
All right. 90 feet. Yeah, plenty of... Yeah.
And I'll have Halo fly back to us.
Uh-huh.
So I'll just have Halo could be right there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
wherever you want him.
Uh,
Halo's fast as heck.
I'll have Halo be like
Okay.
behind me, I guess.
The crew will be maintaining the ship.
Yeah.
Your hired companions will be helping you with battle, okay? Just to keep things simple.
Yeah, that's what I was. That was literally what I was gonna tell them to stay below and make any repairs as soon as the need arrives.
Uh-huh.
And Halo will hold an action to attack if the creature become. Actually, let me move her here now. I think about it. If the creature shows overt aggression, Halo's going to attack.
If the creature shows overt aggression, Halo is going to attack. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. And so, yeah.
And so yeah, that's my turn. That's all I can do.
All right. Did you say you were holding your action as well?
No, I have to spend an action to go into Divine Soul.
Oh, okay, got it. I believe next up is
Yeah, we can't see the initiative, so
I know. And I will post it perhaps in the chat in a minute.
I think there's an initiative thing you can do.
There is, but I hate it.
Okay.
Sorry, not to be mean or rude, but I just really dislike it. Here, hey, someone name a random sea creature.
Fish.
Leviathan.
Penguin.
We're good. I already got it. We're going with
Polar
fish.
bear.
Okay. Oh, no. You know what? Paste and then also paste. Boop. All right. Yep. So next up in the turn order is Siegfried, what are you doing?
Can I see its eyes?
Yes, you can see them glowing just beneath the surface, all 6 of them.
And it see me?
Probably, yeah.
And I glare at it.
All right, go ahead and roll intimidation. You know what? I mean... Huh. You see, from below the surface, blink, 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 as it suddenly seems to acknowledge you, Siegfried, and it sort of, rattles ever so slightly side to side. You appear to have drawn its attention and caused it some emotion that you are unable to determine because it is, for all intents and purposes, a big fish.
Would this be considered an aberration or a monstrosity?
Let me double check on that.
Being a sea serpent, I would actually guess a dragon.
Not a dragon. Not a dragon. There is, specifically when it comes to creatures spawned in this region, I'd argue more along the lines of monstrosity. Give me a sec. Oh, wait, it's gonna... Krakens are titans, right? Oh, no, they're monstrosities. They're just monstrosity titan. Okay, so yes, this would be a monstrosity.
Damn.
Sorry.
That's fine.
Didn't I write that also? One sec. I totally forgot to actually pull up the thing's stat sheet. That would have been smart. Alright, Excel is taking forever to load, so I'll just give me a minute on that. Alright. I'm sorry, you're waiting for me to say, Siegfried, you did your intimidation. You appear to have acknowledged it and caused it some kind of emotion that you aren't quite sure what exactly is, going on with that. Alright. I'm gonna say... Yeah, that'll work. That'll work for that. So that one... and that one. No. Yeah, there we go. That's the one I wanted. Okay. Alright, I have my stat blocks for everybody now. Alright, so, next up in the turn order is, you see a hatch open, from above the, metal compartment. Sort of, it slides outwards, almost like, sliding doors or whatever, but you hear a distinct as this kind of metal hatch slides open above. And you see a blue-skinned sort of elven folk. At first, you almost think, oh god, it's a siren, based on what you saw with the finned elvish ears, but no, this one has a normal face. Normal relative to the sea elves. Kind of the longer, more pointed... not even pointed, elongated features horizontally than one might see in a typical elf. And they appear to be wearing dark clothing. They appear to have sort of a wrapping around their head to hide their hair, or to contain their hair at least. And they appear to have a little bit of grease on the side of their cheek. As they shout out over the ship, "Trespassers! Evacuate the area immediately! We're currently under threat from the outsiders, and we are harshly punishing any outside vessels that are coming within the region. You have 1 minute to depart." and they are staying outside of the ship or up outside of the compartment for a little bit, perhaps a minute. You think? All right, and that is top of the initiative. The gentleman actually whoa, and is jerked forward as the creature attempts to. Oops.
It chucks its arm at us.
Woo, 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 like a boomerang. Sorry about that.
What was the name of those people that we were supposed to meet?
What the? One sec. Is this not working now? Oh, roll 20.
Let me see if I can find their name.
Oh, how you frustrate all of us.
There we go. We're back in business. It jolts forward about 20 feet before you hear a shit, and it stops again closer to the ship. You see the water had begun to part, and a wave sort of crashes against the ship ever so slightly, rocking it as the creature had actually curled around, spun around, and come to a stop back in the same position. The gentleman who had his torso partially out is sort of like leaning now against the vehicle on which he's riding, and it's just like, that doesn't do good for the stomach. Shit. Trotty, you gotta control this thing. Jeez. Sorry.
When the
You
guy
hear from
comes
within.
closer, I say, "Hey, we're actually here because we wanted to meet. I believe the gentleman's name was Flynn Marin. We were told of
Oh shit!
his sermons and his great devotion.
Flynn Marin, head priest of the Church of the Slumbering Serpent, a fish folk with an octopus head. I'm sorry, just to remind you.
Yeah, so that's actually why we're here. We wanted to we have among us those that are very devout towards the slumbering serpent, and we wanted to be introduced. We wanted to meet a man that meet the man that preaches it best, I guess I would say.
Okay. You say this out. I will say, technically Shylvie would have had the first word in here, but we'll just get Shylvie next. So Zen, go ahead and make a deception check for me.
Oh, great. It's just great. Let me just double check my...
Shylvie shoots you a "don't screw this up" glare and uses inspiration.
I mean, regardless of what you roll, unless you get a 1. Wow!
I can't see what I got. Wait,
you got a 3. Their insight was a 2. So both of you are a little distracted at the moment as you go, like, in the midst of telling what you're telling, you like say, Shylvie, it's fine, I'm fine, I got this. And
I got you guys.
Meanwhile, the sea elf gentleman or person, you aren't sure at this point, indicates down towards their, apparently companion that is within the vessel. What was that? Oh, Flynn Marin? Yeah, I mean, I get... at one sec, and they go below deck for a moment, and the portcullis, I will say, Shylvie, you could get a word in edgewise here before they descend.
And another thing is that I wish to return to my homeland, at least for a little bit.
Oh.
And she shapeshifts out of half-elf form.
Oh, okay.
Roll
deception with advantage.
That's not deception. That's genuinely.
I apologize. Roll persuasion with advantage.
Yep. plus.
Double sevens. I'd say that's lucky. 18.
Yep.
And they sort of see your form, and they recoil slightly at it, and like put their nose up a little bit, and are just like, uh-huh. Just a moment. And they go below deck for all intents and purposes, as the the hatch slides shut behind them. And you all are just left there, watching this dark form with the 6 glowing yellow eyes below the water, kind of like just shifting and keeping itself in pace. These 4 big scythed fins just kind of keeping it floating in place. You get a closer look at this thing, or at least a non-threatening look at this thing, for a little while. I'm gonna say, the captain is going to assist anybody who wants to make a history or arcana or religion check. Only one. You get to choose one of those, and you tell me what it is, and whoever wants to roll one of those will get advantage. I'm gonna say only one each for you guys. So who wants to do what? You can do multiple of the same one. You can do whatever you choose. History, arcana, or religion. You'll get different information based on which you choose.
I'll just take whatever's left.
Well, again, you can choose more of the same thing. Shylvie?
Let them go first.
Shylvie, can
I'm
you hear
gonna
me?
go with Arcana.
Okay, Arcana.
I'm gonna.
Siegfried,
Yep.
are you going to inquire or investigate this as well with history, religion, or arcana?
No.
No? Okay, you're just gonna chill. Alright, your
Natural
salamander
20.
is eyeballing that thing. Ooh, you said arcana?
Yep.
Okay. I will say with that, and a 26 at that, you realize what this thing is and what it is capable of, and what that apparatus is as well. This appears to be, you've heard stories of the protector of the Subsea Kingdom. This terrifying, unique monstrosity, a serpent of immense speed and ferocity that annihilates both ship and creature that may threaten the Subsea Kingdom itself. The Hunter Serpent. This thing is extremely dangerous, extremely fast, and extremely quick and alert. It is difficult to get the jump on this thing. You realize that the apparatus that is on it is both slightly protecting it and also giving it some kind of control. There's some kind of magical control over this thing that is preventing it from just annihilating your ship right now. They appear to have put some kind of limiter, not just device, but vehicle, like riding compartment in which there could probably fit like up to 2 or maybe 3, maybe 4 if they were small riders. And so that is the information you were able to glean. This thing, what else? One sec. It's with a 26? I'm just gonna, yeah.
Can I ask a specific question?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Can this thing detect invisible creatures?
You realize that if it is close enough to a creature, it does not need to rely on vision. You're not exactly sure what the specifics are, but you get the feeling it can see things that are close to it without having to be able to see them. That are close to it. You say like probably 30 feet per se. I'm being a little bit more specific than perhaps you might know, but yeah, you got a 26. Fuck it. So yeah, I'll say you get all of that. And you do recognize that You know what? No, I think even with a 26, that you know that it is intelligent enough to understand certain types of. It is an intelligent creature. You know this as well.
I'm gonna do religion.
And it makes things bleed profusely when it bites it, and it has a magical sense to hunt down anything that it is fixated on. And its primary diet consists of other leviathans or
People.
whales.
I don't like this thing.
You don't fuck with that.
Shylvie, a little louder. Shylvie?
Definitely do not mess with that thing.
I'm gonna do a religion check on it.
Interesting. All right, go ahead.
Well, you said it. We had religion,
Oh, of course,
history,
of course.
or Arcana, right?
And I'll continue with the advantage for now. Yeah. All right, 13. You've heard of things like you heard the stories that Ultimus Saltmire told you, or that other people have told you about the slumbering serpent spawning creatures to destroy Arcanautus, or to destroy certain like enemies to the Subsea Kingdom. You get the feeling, I mean, you're not sure, you're not positive. This could be something along those lines. And based off of, but I'll say, based off of what Shylvie is saying, it sounds strong enough to be potentially something that might be a thing. You're not positive though. It could be something else. But it doesn't seem natural. I'll say you can tell that as much.
God, I hate the ocean.
Huge is going to go ahead and make a check as well. Yeah, he doesn't know anything. He just knows it's big and that he wants to wrestle it. All right. Some time passes. About, I'd say, 30 seconds, and it is a very long 30 seconds. Zelphos comes up from below the ship and it's just like, are we dead yet? And he kind of comes over to go and walk over to you. Nope. Zelphos, why?
Zelfo is so strong.
Okay, there we go. Zelphos comes over and kind of leans over the side of the ship and sees, oh, what are we... and he actually faints. As he sees the 80-foot, four-scythed Leviathan in the water. He falls to the ground. He catches himself a little bit, like he passes out for a moment and clambers back down below deck. As he passes by you guys, he says, nope! And he goes back down. So yeah, that's his deal. You know, makes sense. Yeah, so I guess, the elf, the hatch, opens back up again, and the elf, kind of waves towards you all. Have you been invited? Or, in the case of your friend there, do you have a familial connection within the Subsea Kingdom itself? Because if not, we're gonna have to continue with the established threat here. Especially considering you appear to have some very dangerous creatures aboard that vessel, and they indicate towards Huge and the salamander. The salamander... What? I'm going to roll something for the salamander. Just give me 1 sec. Yeah, the salamander is not intimidated. The salamander is staring over the edge of the ship, looking at the Leviathan, contemplating. Siegfried, you know it's thinking, yeah, I could take it. If it's distracted slicing up the big one, I could start eating its tail and work my way up from there, it thinks.
Siegfried's also thinking the same thing.
Okay, noted.
We are familiar with some people down there.
I will remind or I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's all I was gonna say. We're familiar with some of the citizens. As you can see, we're not of a natural sea living race, but we We have friends.
I will. Everybody make a intelligence check for me.
Oh, could I actually make a check to jog Shylvie's memory and try to remember her parents' names? Well, her
Shylvie,
parents' name. Her parents' name.
Shylvie, go ahead and roll a history check. It's a very high DC. It's almost impossible, but go for it. You can make a full history check if you have proficiency. Zen, you get a 17 on your history check. You remember, Kay gave you a list of names.
Yeah, but I wasn't sure if we're allowed to, I wasn't sure if we're allowed to, say them.
Okay, but I'll just tell you the list anyways. Shylvie...
25.
Shylvie, noted, give me a second. I'll get back to you in just a moment, because that's a big one. So, Flynn Marin is the head priest of the Church of the Slumbering Serpent, a fishhook with an octopus head. You know Tayun Drowntown, who is a general shopkeep that Kay interacted with, a Triton gentleman who is friendly with Kay. And you know of Akuatoa with an eye, nicknamed One-Eye Walleye, who is a drifter that lives in the Kelp district. So those are the 3 individuals that you have names for in the Subsea Kingdom that you are, at least, you could pretend to be familiar with. Shylvie looks into themselves for a moment, and you reach back far. You had this memory from before any other memories seem to even exist. A name comes to mind. And let me get his name here. Okay. Babroog. 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 And that name comes to mind as you try to think back onto who spawned you, or who took care of you. BBROG. You don't have an image. You have a name, though. You are quiet again. Speaking to the thing?
She speaks up to them and says, Babroog. That is...
Yeah.
I only remember their name. It has been so long since I have been down there.
The sea elf looks down, and you guys see the head of a tuna poke out from beside them, and then followed by some relatively muscular arms, scaly arms, as a tuna-headed fish folk leans out from the thing as well, and actually speaks up towards you. Oh, you know Babroog? Oh, he sold me this really nice watch yesterday. And you see he has on his wrist, a little kind of, bubble dome with a little ticking mechanical seemingly thing inside of it. And you see a look of absolute terror come onto the sea elf's face as they bolt down, as the Leviathan once begins to head towards the...
It once again throws its arm at us.
It once again throws its arm that somehow got disconnected.
Rogue's hand.
What the fuck? What's going on here? It's using its psychic powers to tear the ship apart. Oh, that's weird.
More dangerous than we thought.
Oh, that's very weird. One sec.
Should we have just...
Sorry.
We still have our secret weapon. Huge combo.
Strange.
Huge
Whatever, I guess I'll
wrestling
just
it.
highlight it.
The salamander's gonna eat it.
Why is the group button not working? Maybe if I ungroup and then group it? And then group again?
Alright, so we
know... Oh, well, now it's even more fucked. Sorry, anyways.
I mean, if for all intents and purposes, you could just move the boat.
I'm kind of mad that it's not working, though. Anyways, moving on. It moves closer. And then is stopped once again as a jolt comes forth. And the sea elf shouts up, "You're an idiot!" I'm manning the controls, you talk to them. And the trout-headed fish person mentions to you, "Yeah, if you're friends of Babrug, he's one of the shopkeepers down there. He's a good man. I like his stuff. He's got a lot of good things going on. What do you think? I'm busy keeping the thing from doing the thing that we've trained it to do. Could you please just decide yourself? This is a test for you. Take the initiative. Prove to me that you deserve the position that you've been given." And the trout sort of takes a handkerchief out from his pocket and sort of pats his fish head, the side of his fish head, as he starts
you want
to
it wet?
kind of sweat. I don't know. As he then they're good to go. All right. And he goes back below. And you hear various sounds of discussion occurring.
Go, 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 go.
Uh-huh. And as you indicate this, the captain sort of, like, does the whirl-around motion, and the ship begins to exit. Make a hasty retreat. The port opens up and says, they shout out as your ship goes away, "Stop by Good Tide. They'll give you what you need." And they are going to go ahead, and you see the creature appears to be tailing the ship about 100 feet back, very casually swimming behind it, as you all approach Good Tide, the Good Tide outpost, which is this lovely little kind of artificial floating island set upon various sorts of, like, buoyant barrels, on this sort of kind of ropish structure, sort of holds a mostly wooden structure that appears to have been a little beaten and worn with the seas of time. And you all approach this place, and as you approach, you notice that I have to zoom in to move objects. So great, I love it. Anyways, sorry. Why does it keep... Anyways. The Hunter Leviathan appears to have left your ship alone at this point, and appears to be going off, to continue their patrol. You have been escorted to the Good Tide outpost. You are greeted there, by a, sort of scruffy-looking, older Triton. He's got some pretty serious jowls on him. The sides of his face almost seem to have a life of their own, as he speaks to you all, blubbering with each word. Blah. "Hello, travelers. We haven't had many people visiting lately. Apparently, some crazy stuff's going on. You all hear about the chaos rot?"
What happened with Chaos Rot?
"There was a terror attack not too long ago. Figured I'd warn you people. About a month back."
What happened?
Oh, you're quiet.
Oh dear, what happened?
"There was an attempt, we suppose, to poison the temple of the serpent. Kill everybody inside. Fortunately, the head priest was able to cleanse the waters no problem. But it was pretty scary. Just giving you folks a decent heads up." Things are a little
What?
tense right now.
What poison would it happen to be?
I said it was chaos rot. At least that's what word on the street, word on the in the cove
The
is.
tide.
Say again?
Oh,
Oh,
on the
God.
tide.
Okay. Yes, there you go. On the tide. Word on the tide. The good tide. Hey, hey. Do you want to buy a souvenir?
Chaos rot. You're sure it's chaos rot?
Oh, that's what I heard. Could have been something else.
A long while ago.
Some folks did die. Dissipated into the air.
First of all,
It was horrible.
This is not the only place that was flooded with chaos rot about a month ago.
Eh? Do tell.
That was not the only place. Northern Isle of Arcanautus, the entire port was poisoned with chaos rot as well. Almost the exact same time.
That sucks for them. Fortunately, we were able to cleanse ours and lickety-split. I'm sure they had a hell of a time trying to deal with that, huh?
Yep. It took a group of 3 adventurers doing something incredibly dangerous and most likely life-threatening to many people in order to fix it. They had a lovely, difficult time managing it.
Dang. Well, if only you had such a beloved and powerful priest as our lovely, and I immediately forgot, Flame Moran. Anywho, enjoy your stay, folks. Have a bubble. And he produces for you all a little shitty, what is essentially a fish bowl. And he says, you should be okay for breathing, but it's not gonna make swimming any easier. Hope you got good muscles like that gentleman over there.
I hand it immediately to Huge.
Huge flexes as he grabs the tiny bowl and attempts to put it on his head. It goes over his head, but he doesn't really have a neck, so it doesn't quite go all the way down. And he's like, do you have one in large or huge?
It is huge.
Of course,
Yes.
I can't even believe I said the word large. I'm sorry. Anyways, he's like, yep! And he grabs an even bigger one that's square. And it's got a little bit of a kind of plastic, sort of, plastic-ish, kind of tarpy tapering to it. Try this one! And so now all of you get helmets of underwater breathing. This is a basic magic item used by any visitors to the Subsea Kingdom. It allows you to breathe underwater, not super comfortably per se, unless you were to get some, upgrades or a better version, but this is the free visitor exclusive sort of you can visit our city offering that they probably only agreed to as part of a trade agreement early on. And
Okay,
actually, sorry?
I said, okay, cool.
Yeah. And he indicates, all right! And he lets you into the outpost, and you see a large central kind of open water area in the center of it, about like 10 feet wide. And he says, all right! Straight down that way, and you'll reach the city. About 200 feet till you see the dome. Don't try to go straight through it or you'll die. You go about another 1,200 feet down, and the primary entrance is down there. Knock yourselves out. Shylvie, you realize that perhaps people who are not used to being underwater, this should be almost impossible.
Yeah. For people who can't...
However, if they have a swim speed, a la the rings... Did the rings give you a swim speed?
Yes.
Good.
They gave us the swim speed, allowed us to breathe
Yes.
underwater,
Yes.
and
Side note: the
some
rings,
stealth thing.
the rings are, for all intents and purposes, better than the helmets.
Yeah,
You can choose to wear the helmets or not. It's your choice.
I'm gonna wear it as like an illusion that I need it, that type of thing.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Just actually, I guess let me make a note of who is actually going to be wearing the helmets. Okay. So Siegfried, are you wearing a helmet? Zen, you said you're gonna wear a helmet.
Yeah.
No,
You're not. Okay.
Siegfried's not. No.
You will die if you unless you can breathe water somehow, my big friend.
He's gonna show
He's
that
got-
he's holding his breath.
I mean, good luck. Don't get the bends. And he kind of like presents the pool in front of you. Yeah. So, who will be coming along with you, if anybody? The ship appears to be relatively safe, docked at, this place. They cannot, or they tie themselves to the outpost. And so the ship will be, theoretically safe for now. Who do you want to take any of the crew with you when you go down? There's the free underwater breathing thing, but they don't all or any have a swim speed now that I think about it.
Does Huge have a swim speed?
I'm gonna say he's strong enough that yes. We're just gonna say he has a swim speed. He has an anything speed. He has an if it requires muscles equals speed. He has muscle speed. He has muscle speed 30 feet.
It's the muscle speed
Okay.
force.
Do you guys want to bring Huge?
I think that Huge might stick out like a sore thumb. Not that you two won't, but Huge might stick out as an especially sore thumb, unfortunately.
I understand. I do have a
Oh.
very huge presence.
God, I
You have
love
a
this
huge
man.
presence, and you are, well, of the surface and human. At least, you visibly appear to have once been human.
He chuckles ever so slightly under his breath, but doesn't say anything else.
I guess we'll leave it up to you guys to protect the ship. Don't cause any trouble.
Kaiser shoots you a thumbs up from the ship. The captain kind of salutes. Huge kind of gives you a nod and a flex of approval. The salamander slips into the water.
And I guess we'll just jump in. I'm gonna have also Halo is sheathed. By the
Halo
way.
is sheathed. Okay.
And I'm like, well, let's go, guys.
All right. Okay, give me just a moment. So Zen is wearing the helmet. Halo is sheathed. Siegfried is not wearing the helmet,
But he's holding his breath.
but he's holding his breath.
And he has the ring.
And he has the ring. Siegfried, do you want to actually try to hold your breath?
No.
No? Okay, so you were just pretending to intimidate the gentleman.
Yeah.
Okay, so Zen, Halo, and then obviously Shylvie doesn't need the thing.
We have 40 feet of swim speed.
Yeah. You all have 40 feet, right?
We have 40. Shylvie has 60.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. So you all begin to descend. Alright, and now I can finally do the big thing, the thing that I actually wrote. Or, I mean, I wrote all of this, obviously. Alright. Ahem. As one descends below the good tide outpost, about 200 feet down, the top of the pale yellow aura of the subsea kingdom's defensive arcane barrier comes into view. The upper array is the first visible structure, the pinnacle of a grand tower into which several layers of colossal corals grow, on which the kingdom's buildings rest. The multiple layers of the kingdom can be observed from outside as you descend. On the upper level, the grand dome of Bone Home sits framed by what used to be the bleached white ribs of an ancient leviathan, larger even than what you might see from, say, the hunter serpent that you had witnessed. Something much, much bigger. Homes and businesses, formed of brilliantly colored corals and polished sea stones, cover the opposite, lower branch of this bubble of civilization, more on the side that you are descending on, and sea folk of various sorts can be seen going about their daily lives, swimming to and fro, entering and exiting shops, bartering for various pouches of materials. And you do notice that many of them carry bubbles or kind of sort of these bluish or yellow sacks of like some kind of material that appear to either be like their forms of like backpacks or just what they store many different things in. The Temple of the Serpent extends up, visible at this layer with its spiraling blue-patterned limestone walls, and the large 30-foot diameter glowing golden sphere that casts its gentle illumination across this half of the kingdom, like a small sun at the depth, illuminating the inside of the kingdom more so than the surrounding waters may otherwise be. Below this, the two central, widest layers of the kingdom, the main populated area of the kingdom, is covered in various seaweed fields to the far side from where you are, into which homes have been woven. You all would recognize these as a similar style to the ones of the northern Seafolk tribe, but on a much grander scale. You also see nests, tunnels, and limestone structures that dot the regions surrounding the Temple of the Serpent. Below this heavily populated segment of the kingdom, you are able to glance down ever so slightly, but it is mostly dark, sadly. You do see glimmering lights and many glowing yellow eyes swimming around in the darkness below. If you inquire around, you will learn that this is the military sub-spire region. If one were to observe this... Oh, never mind, that's not happening. As you are all descending, you did notice the... I'm sorry, let me get out the new map. And that'll be kind of where we are probably gonna call it for... One sec, I'm curious. Nope. Come on.
That's
come on,
not.
Come on. What's going on? Really? Gotta love it. God help me. All right.
God to love it.
There is no God.
I know. Give me a minute. Okay, so it's just the regular crew once again. It's not the extended crew. All right, copy. New map. Subsea Kingdom, or I should say Jasson Vale. What the Not sure what happened there. Can you guys still hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Anyways, maybe I was hitting FN instead of control, or function instead of control. Anyways, okay, so new map. Did it end up being created, or did it go away? No, here it is. Okay, I'm not gonna name it, I guess, until later. All right, and now. Nope, that's not. Oh, what the heck? Oh, there it is.
Is it working?
Yeah, it is. Just give me a sec. All right, we're gonna move the players to. If
Don't
this
forget
would
the
work.
salamander.
Come on. There we go. Jasson Vale, or at least the paste. Oh fuck, that's right, map layer. There we go. So to the Jasson Vale, home of the Subsea Kingdom. All right, one sec. I got DM'd something, so I gotta look at that real quick.
This is my veil.
I guess so, huh?
What are you hiding? Huh? What are you hiding?
Okay, where?
Apparently, fish people.
You like fish people?
I'll spell it out for you.
It says it right there at the top.
Sorry. No, I was looking at a different thing. Anyways, so you all see before you the entrance, a structure, a circular sort of portcullis within the structure. I was going to say this before, but you all have noticed various tritons, sea elves, in sort of this heavy blue plated chitin armor with these yellow glowing goggles riding atop sharks that have kind of been circling and observing you as you all descended, keeping their distance but just watching. Probably about... It started at about 200 feet down. One was keeping an eye, then 3, and by the time you reach the central portcullis that is being attended by one of these blue chitin, yellow goggled individuals, there are about 10 that are kind of just tailing you and sort of circling the waters above and below you. And they all appear to be wielding either tridents, harpoons, or spears. Or you notice one had even had a harpoon launcher as well. And you see before you the Subsea Kingdom. I will say, would you all like to sort of call it here, or would you like to continue going? How is everybody feeling?
I think that we
I'm
should
fine.
call it here.
And now's a good time to call it.
All right, I think seeing the new map and everything, I think this is a pretty good place to call it as well. Have a beautiful night, everybody, and thank you for watching as always.
Thank
Peace.
you for coming. Yeah.